Awesome. Thank you, Lucas. All right. So again, Kendra Astomborski here, the ed tech at the high school. And John and I will walk you through what it'll look like for your students as we get going and start the school year, which we're very excited about, and then how from the parent end you can be more involved in the technical side of things, so you can be a support to your student. So the first is we need to make sure our students have access to our digital platforms. So on our school's website, we have underneath the Students tab, there is a button called Clever. So all of our students, to sign into their accounts with the district, would go underneath the Students tab and click on Clever. And then from there, it gives them this login screen. So they'll click on where it says all users log in using full email address. And when they type or when they click on that, it's going to ask for their credentials. So of course, John is a teacher in the district, so his will come up looking a little bit different. For our students, their login would be the first initial of their first name, then their last name at sscsd.net. Okay, and then that will be their password. If you ever have a question about a login, or maybe your student logs in and they cannot get in, they can always contact the building tech in your building or call the front office. They can direct them to the building tech and then they can assist you with getting into the system. So at that point, John, you can go ahead and click to the next screen. And then once your student logs in, it's going to give them this Clever page. So to have an understanding of what Clever looks like, this is what it looks like, and it's a single sign-on portal. So what does that mean? That means that the apps that we have available to our students, this is where they log in, and now all they need to do is click on that app to get into that particular platform. So the first, and what we're going to take a look at, is Canvas. So Canvas is the first app that you see there. And when we click on there, it's going to bring your student right into Canvas, which is our learning management system, grades 6 through grades 12. Okay. So tomorrow, your student, if they're doing an orientation day, they will log into Clever like you just saw and click on Canvas. And this is where you would see all of your courses that John would be involved in or added in as either a student, or on his side, it would be a teacher. So this looks just like it does for your student. They log into Canvas and they have all of these little course cards for each of their classes. And it has a nice view to it. I think it's user-friendly that they would be able to see the title of their course, and then they would click on that particular title. So you would start seeing when your student logs in, they would be able to click on a course, and then they would see one for English, one for math, one for physical education. All of your course cards would be there on the student end. So why don't we go ahead and click on one of the courses? And so if your student was taking, we're gonna actually click on student training. This is something that is going to be available to all of our students to walk them through different platforms and giving them a self-guided tour of the platforms that they're using. This is just what every course in Canvas looks like. So John clicked on the course Student Training, and then this will give you the homepage view. And if tomorrow is our orientation day, I can speak to the high school, similar to the middle school. They'll be going into their Canvas courses, and on each of their course, there's going to be a link to their Zoom. So that will be posted on the homepage. So you'll see at the top here it says join Zoom link here, and then the student will be able to click on that and they'll be able to join the Zoom call. So when you're talking to your student this evening, or maybe they're sitting in with you right now, you would be able to talk to your student about, you're going to go into your Canvas, and for each of the classes that you're taking, there will be a Zoom link there for you to click on. And once you click on that link, it will open up the Zoom link. Okay. John, is there anything else in regards to accessing kind of the class and then maybe the Zoom link to start us out?
No, tomorrow, your classes, depending on the class that you're joining, you'll just have to make sure you're going into the correct course in your dashboard. And then within the dashboard, when you click your correct course, that's where you'll get your link. Just make sure to keep in mind that each class has a different link.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that I was talking to some students earlier and some teachers, kind of think of it as when you're walking to your classroom, you're opening up your class. If you have English first period, you would walk to your classroom. Well, since you're doing it virtually, you go into your Canvas and you click on your English course. And when you click on that, it'll bring you to the homepage, just like you see here. And then you would click on that to enter into your virtual call. Okay. Right, so next on our agenda, we're going to be taking a look at the announcements button within the course. And this gives the students the opportunity to receive messages from their teacher. And it's really nice because this will send you as a student a message to your Saratoga email to say your teacher is trying to say something to you. So right now, John's going to have a welcome post to the class. And once it gets posted, I love this feature within Canvas. It's going to allow for that announcement to be visible to our students. And it kind of looks like a little message, a little note. So underneath the announcements button, which you can see over there on the left-hand side where John is moving his cursor, he can now click on that and it will display the announcement that he just posted. So when we are working through the school year, those announcements are going to be used by our teachers to say, hey, there's something I want to tell you. Maybe it's, I want to give you a heads up for the work for the week. This is going to be that place where teachers are communicating out to you. They're giving you a note. It's setting you up for success for the week. I'm going to use this announcement to send out to you. Okay. So not only does it get posted in your course and you'll get a notification in the class and through that button that you saw, but if you move to, we're going to go back to that dashboard view. And there's these little microphones. So I've been using this a lot in the courses that I'm in. And I see on that little microphone, when anytime a teacher adds an announcement, there's going to be a little notification there to say, hey, you have a new announcement. So this would be, you have a new announcement in the student training. You can simply click on that little megaphone and it's going to bring you right into your announcement. So you can click on it and see today it's September 9th at 4:13, John has posted that announcement for the class. So that's a really key feature that you want to make sure you're looking at for all of your classes. And you'll notice those little notifications on the megaphone will start adding up as more and more announcements come through. The next item on our agenda is how can I see the assignments with to-do or with due dates that are coming up? So there is a to-do section within courses. And it's a little bit more kind of back to that dashboard view. And that dashboard view is it tells us a lot. It tells us a lot of information. So on the right-hand side, you'll see that there is a list of to-do items. So as your teachers are posting assignments and they're adding due dates to those assignments, this to-do list is going to start to populate. So again, it's just another area in Canvas that's highlighting to the student, I want you to check this out. This is something that you haven't completed yet. So maybe your student or your student is receiving a message from their teacher through that announcement and they're referring to assignments. Another place you can see those assignments and them needing to be done would be in that to-do section. I use that a lot. That's really good. So make note of that. Then on another key component for our assignments, it says on our agenda, coming up and showing assignments that are due next week. So John, I don't know if you have a particular place you point that out for our students at the middle school. Is there somewhere if I need to know what's coming up next week, where do I look for that?
On the dashboard, there is a coming up section. Now, for me, since I only have one assignment that's set to me right now, I'm a student, as you can see, there's a bunch of things that I have to grade. But this is a project that I have coming up as a student, and you would see it right on the dashboard here. You also have the ability to view it in a calendar format if you want to. But we are really directing students to the dashboard because it shows all of this information.
Great, thank you. Another item that we want to talk about is recent feedback that teachers share. So we know that as a teacher, we have assignments for our students, and then our students complete those assignments and they turn them back in. So there's an area within our dashboard called recent feedback. And this is a section right under where it's the coming up of assignments. And John has his cursor moving there so we can see it. Whereas your teachers are adding feedback to the assignments that the students are completing, this is an area you'll want to check out because it'll indicate when your teacher is giving you feedback. So of course we get the assignments, we have we are given the assignments, our students complete that work, and then to bring it back around, we as teachers offer feedback. So this is a section where you can check out that feedback, and then maybe there's something you need to continue working on. Maybe you did really well on it and now you can move on to that next step. This is a really nice area to check out where that feedback is coming from. Right, so that is the dashboard on Canvas as a whole. And I would say from the high school end, that's everything I have. John, is there anything on the middle school end? And of course, we're trying to build 6-12 consistency. So if you have a middle school student, you also have a high school student, you're going to see some similarities there. We want to paint that nice picture. So John, is there anything else that we have for the dashboard?
Nope, that is exactly what we're doing at the middle school.
All right, I like it, building that consistency. All right, so we're going to go ahead and take another look within a course. We had a little bit of a sneak peek at that before, but we're going to go into the course again. So John's going to enter into the student training course, which is something that all of your students will have access to. And the first was talking about the home screen. So when you click into the course, the home page is where your student will be taken to. And just to reiterate, we have that aspect to our classes now that we are virtually joining into the class. So on the home page, that is where the student would click and they would be brought to the virtual Zoom would open up to join that virtual setting. Okay, so that is in fact just right there on the home page, and you have that across the board 612 for your student to join that way. So teachers, there's a couple of things to be aware of what they may be using and what they might be updating. So teachers may be using a course syllabus and then have some course information, some updates. So that would also be found right here in the home page. And I always say to students, when you're starting out with a teacher, you're coming to orientation, get into your classes, look around, see what they have. If you feel like you're missing something, ask your teacher, where is it located? But we're giving a more user-friendly feel to our Canvas now, so it should be right here on the home page. And if it's not here, it will be clearly shown in Canvas in a different spot. But there, as you can see over there on the left-hand side, there's not many buttons, meaning there's not too many places we need to click to find the information. So starting out with those course updates with the Zoom link, with the syllabus, it's going to be right there on the home page for you. All right, so just to make sure we've gone over all of the announcements, because John and I have a couple notes here, and I'll make sure you have all of the information. We're going to take a look at announcements again. So to get to those announcements, John can click on the left-hand side, and there's a button for announcements. That will view all of the announcements that are posted by your teacher. So this is where all the updates are happening. So if there's any necessary documents or materials for a course, there might be links to assignments or quizzes. And teachers may post weekly and daily items to the course through this. So you can see what the setup looks like. You can see how you can interact with the announcements button and then click on the announcement itself to be able to view it or read it. So this really is going to be a section that I suggest to students that you check every day. You will be notified in the dashboard if you have an announcement. And this is really going to be that portal for those teachers to send you out information. I mean, I find, over time, the look of it houses everything. It keeps those announcements. So I can always reference back to an announcement if I need to. And it just has a nice user-friendly feel to it. So I really like them. I know we've talked about announcements twice now. So I think that's really gotten all of the information. I think the biggest is checking your announcements or for an announcement in each of your courses, I'd say every day. And on the dashboard, we had the notification where it would be shown through that megaphone. So that should be everything for announcements. John, do you have anything else to add?
No, not really. The teachers have basically been directed to put all of the course content into announcements. Most likely it's going to be on a weekly basis. You'll see an announcement come out, whether it's Sunday night or Monday morning. And within the announcement, you'll see a link for all the necessary documents that the students need for the assignments for the week. Within the announcement, you might also see the link to all of the various assignments, as well as something like a quiz or an external link that takes you to some other tool that we use, like you may have heard of Nearpod or something like that. So all of that information will be contained within announcements, and that's why it's so great, because a student really only has to look in one spot for each course to find all the material that they need.
Mm-hmm. Great, thank you, John. That was really nice. Yeah, just housing everything in a smaller location, so we have that point to narrow into is important. Okay, so we're going to move on to modules. So you'll see over on the left-hand side, we're moving through those buttons. Okay, so modules is going to be the next one we look at. And really the purpose of modules is to allow for a self-paced experience for the student. So the teacher would assign work to the students and keep track of lessons, units, or assignments. And the modules also allow for easy access to content. So you'll see it gives a really nice view that right now we have some modules that are built out. There's a welcome section. There's a whole module about Office 365 or Windows, I should say. And then next it goes into Office 365. So each module is broken up by topic. And then within that module, there are items that the student would need to complete. So if you take a look at the using your device, Windows 10, the first item is a logging into the school computer directions. So when the student clicks on that, it's going to bring them to now a presentation that walks them through those directions. So it gives them the step-by-step process and how they would walk through. So for any teacher, they would be able to create a module that includes this information. And this would be the first item within the module, so it's the presentation. And then as the student finishes that presentation, all they would need to do is at the bottom, click on Next. And now this would bring them to a new assignment, and it's actually going to be a quiz. So it's checking for understanding to make sure the student learned what was in the presentation. And there would be a number of questions that the student would complete in here. So you can see it as John clicked on the questions, it's now going to bring question 1 up, and now the student would be able to choose what the answer would be and work through each of the questions. And then when the assessment is done, it would be turned in and the teacher would receive a notification that the student completed this particular quiz and be able to either submit back feedback on the information and give work back to the student of what they've completed. So once the student is finished, yep, it looks like we have some answers of what was correct, what still needs to be corrected. Okay. And then once the student is done, they can just click next again on the bottom, and it will bring them to the next item within that module. So now this is going to be how to navigate Windows 10, and it gives that second presentation. The student would work through the presentation, and just like we saw before, we can click on next. And we have another check-in point for our students where they can take a quiz. So you'll see it gives a really nice self-paced opportunity for the student to work through the work. I know a lot of teachers at the high school utilize modules as a place to say this is the unit of study that we have, and now we're going to go ahead and check for understanding through a quiz, or maybe it's some kind of assignment that you're turning back into your teacher. So really that gives a student the access to the material that you would want. So John, if you don't mind clicking on modules again over on the left-hand side, a student can always click on that and now go through and see, okay, is there a particular area that I need to look back, maybe reference to? I might have a test coming up, so I want to look back at a module that had material in it. It really provides for a nice access to our students to their work in an organized fashion. I would say for modules that really to take a look at it is important. You know, get into your courses and suggest to your students, look at what is posted, and over time, more and more content will accumulate. And I just like the organization of it. It seems very user friendly to see it broken up in those different topics. The last item that we're going to take a look at, if we scroll up just a little bit, we're looking at those 4 buttons. So we took a look at the home button that had all of the information about the course with the Zoom link to join. We took a look at announcements. We know teachers will be utilizing that at a weekly or maybe a couple times a week to send out information to the students to say this is the work that we're going to be focusing on, what we're going to be completing. And then we took a look at modules. So we skipped down to the last one, and that's where it's organized, how the content is organized, and it could be done. Maybe your teacher's doing it by week. They might be doing it by topic. So then the last item in Canvas is going to be grades. So it's important to note that when it's in grades, that these are not the grades going to be that may be in School Tool. They're not official. So really, this is meant for feedback. We want to use this space that we know as your student is completing work, we need to make sure that we're providing that feedback so we have that ongoing learning experience. And as the work comes in, the students will be able to use this grades button to click on an assignment that they've completed and view any of the feedback that is coming back to them. Okay. So it gives just a list of everything that's in the course or might be published by your teacher, and they can click on it to be able to see the feedback. The place where you want to, when you look within grades, it gives you that list of assignments, It also gives you due dates. So I like that. It kind of gives me a snapshot of another place in Canvas where I can see due dates. It also show me my submission status. So maybe I submitted it, but my teacher still needs to give me some feedback. So where is it in the particular kind of fashion of I've submitted it. I know it's been submitted, but it looks like my teacher just needs to provide me with some feedback. And then the last is the score. So the teacher might go ahead and give you a score there, but this is where we want to make sure people understand that your final score is going to be posted in School Tool, something that we're very much used to. That is the place where it's kind of the final grade. So for on the student end, this is a great place. How's my status? Did I submit it? What is the due date? Do I have any feedback? Kind of the real meat of it. But then for the final grade, I'm going to refer you to School Tool to check out what that final grade is. So that is everything that I have, well, I would say about grades and kind of everything that I have when it comes to Canvas itself. And from the high school perspective, it's really giving you a nice update. I think this is where students need to talk to their teachers if they feel like they don't have access to something or they're looking for something. Talk to your teachers. We're building this consistency 612 so that we make sure that our students are getting what they need in a user-friendly fashion. John, from the middle school perspective, or really just from your ed tech perspective, is there anything else within Canvas we would like to point out?
No, I think you hit on everything. In middle school, we're doing the same thing.
Good, good. Yeah. And everyone, reiterate to your student, give yourself some time to get used to it. You may be new to Canvas if you're new to the district, or maybe you're in 6th grade and you're getting used to it. I know our high school, we were new to it last year and we're still kind of working through and giving people the opportunity. And as you have questions, talk to your teachers and they will have the answers to point you in the right direction. And it's really a portal to give you what you need and the information you need to be successful.
And I will say, to add on to that, is definitely your point of contact with Canvas should definitely be your teacher, because each teacher is going to use it slightly differently because of the nature of the course, where as you might have a science teacher that uses it a little bit differently than a PE teacher. So definitely reach out to your child's teacher first before seeking help from like the tech department or something, because they'll definitely be able to help out better.
Absolutely. Well, that kind of brings us midway into our agenda. So my part was really looking at, from the student perspective, what should you be looking for? What are kind of those tips and tricks to make sure that I see where everything is posted? And now we're going to transition into the parent side of things. So how can we be supportive on the guardian end and be involved in the technology side? So John, I will be here if you have anything needed from the high school perspective, but again, building that 6K or 612 message, we should be on the same page. So I'll turn it over to you now.
All right, so I'm sorry you're going to have to deal with me now. What I'm going to be walking you through is how to gain access through what we call an observer account. It's really an account for parents and guardians to take a look at what's going on in their child's Canvas course. So you don't have to go in through your child's Canvas credentials in order to see it. Now, that's not stopping you from going in through your child's credentials. It's usually a good idea to sit down with your child. Maybe it's a couple times a week, just see where they're at within Canvas and making sure they're up to date with all their assignments and everything like that. But becoming an observer also gives you another way to check in with your child's progress in courses so that you have access to that at all times. So really, I'm going to break this down into two parts. It really depends on if you have a Canvas account already. And the only reason you would have a Canvas account at this point is if you've had a child that has a Canvas account really is in grade 6 or beyond. So the first thing I'm going to show is how to get a Canvas account if you don't have one, which would really only apply to incoming 6th graders or students that are new to the district. So to become an observer and to create a Canvas account, I'm on the district homepage right now. And if I go to parents and hover my mouse over it, you'll see a link for Canvas. And when I click that, it will bring me to a login page for Canvas. Now, if obviously you're a first-time Canvas user, you're not going to have an account to log in with. So up here at the top right, there is a button for click here for new account. And I'm going to click that and walk through it. It's going to ask you for personal information, so your name, your email address, and to create a password for your account. But where people get tripped up is the student pairing code. And this pairing code is unique to each student so that you don't just join any student's account and see anybody's information. It's a way for us to make sure that the parent is tying to the correct student. So I'm going to be walking you through how to do that now. So I'm going to become a student, and just give me a moment here to load that up. All right, so I'll say test, and let's go down to my test student. And you're going to need your child to be with you during this process. So again, I was in the creation of creating the Canvas account, and I need to find my pairing code. So in order to do that, you're going to need your child next to you. I do recommend that they have their own device loaded up, and you have your second device going through this process. You can do it on the same device, but you're going to have to do it on 2 separate browsers. So maybe one is loaded up in Chrome, and then you yourself is loaded up in Edge, just because we don't want to confuse the system about who is being logged in. But again, I do recommend having 2 computers for this. So to get this pairing code, you're going to have your student log in, so they would see their dashboard as we discussed at the beginning of this meeting, and they're going to need to go into their account, and the account settings are found within their icon in the top left. And when you click that, it will bring up a series of options, and we need to get into their settings. So here's the settings button right here. And when you click that, there's a whole bunch of information here, but really all we need is the pairing code. And you can see over here to the right, there's a button for pair with observer. And when you click that, it brings us the pairing code. Now, I will say this code does not last forever. It says right here, it lasts for 7 days. So you obviously want to do it the time that you're doing it. I don't know why you would want to let it go past 7 days, but just to keep in mind, it does expire. And that's for safety purposes. So what you would do is you would copy and eventually go into your sign-up credentials and paste that pairing code in. Or if you have separate devices, you would just simply type in that pairing code. And once that's completed, you now have your own account that you can now sign into. So you would go to the Saratoga Schools website, you would hover over parents, go to Canvas, and now with your login credentials and your password that you created, you now have the ability to log in. And I'll show you now what it would look like as a parent. So as you can see, I'm in as a parent, and I see 2 courses. I am observing a student that right now is only a member of 2, but your child would probably be part of 7 to 8 courses, and you would see every single course that they are a part of. So really everything that your child will see on the dashboard is something that you will see on your dashboard in your account. So in saying that, there are a couple of options to look at within account. If you were to go up here, You have file settings that you can change, so you can receive notifications for specific things that happen in your child's course. So if I hop into notifications, I'm not going to go through each one, but clearly you see there are a bunch of options that you can change. The one that I definitely recommend that you keep on is announcements, because we've gone over this at the beginning. Announcements is going to be the area where our teachers are going to be posting our content. And I, as a parent and definitely as a student, would want to be notified when an announcement takes place. And if you signed up, which obviously I just did, you'll receive a notification via your email. What is also nice about being in observer mode is that if you go into settings, you don't just have the ability to add an email address. You can also add an additional contact method, and one of them is receiving a text message. So if I entered a text message, a cell phone number, selected my carrier, so I would find, I have AT&T, I would register it. Now within notifications, it would be a secondary list of options for when I wanted to be notified for each one. So for sure, I would make sure that announcements, I received a notification for each one. Everything else is really up to your discretion. And you can see there's settings for really every aspect of Canvas. So that's a walkthrough of how you would first create your account, and then how to go through some of the navigation settings. You might be a parent, though, that already has a Canvas account, and you just need to add an incoming sixth grader or a new student to it, so now you can see both of your children. So in order to do that, I'm going to go back to my dashboard. All right, so I'm signed in again as a parent. I've gone through the login process. And again, I'm going to go up to the account button on the top left. And when I click that, I have my options as I did before, but I'm going to go down to observing. And when you click this, you'll see a list of all of the students that you're observing. So you should see all of the children that you have that have a Canvas account. So anyone grades 6 through 12. But for a new student that you want to observe, you would enter in their pairing code, which again, you would have to sit down next to your child and have them go into their account. So right now I'm looking at a student's account. You would have to go into their account settings, which is at the top left, click settings, and then you would get their pairing with observer, just like before when I went through the process of creating the account. So when I get that link, when I get that pairing code, I can copy it in or simply type it in. And now when I paste it in here and add student, I now am observing a new student in here. Now I was already observing that student, so you're not going to see two here, but you will see a second one once you've added that pairing code. So really that's it with setting up your observer account. Kendra, did I leave anything out there?
No, that sounded great. And what I saw on the screen walks the process through really nicely. So I'd say you're all set.
Okay. So at this point, Lucas Mann, are you on the call?
I know that he is on the call, and he is probably getting the go ahead from us to say you can open up the chat. So
Okay.
we'll get the chat open and we can take questions at this point. I'd say we have about 15 minutes because we had a session till 5 o'clock. We'll answer as many questions as possible. And then anything we might not get to, we can always save that chat and then get back to people, or it really helps us make sure that we are sending out communication to our parents. So Lucas, I'm going to notify him that the chat can get open, and then you all can utilize that as a space to add any questions, and we'll look at them and answer as many as we can. So just give us one moment to do that.
Kendra, sorry, did you need something from me?
We need the, just turn the chat on there, Lucas.
Yep, we're going to take questions now.
The chat's on.
Okay, awesome, thank you. Maybe this is a good sign that there's nothing in the chat.
So patiently waiting.
Yeah, for student training, that student training tile is not going to be there until at some point tonight or tomorrow morning, so you don't have to worry about that. I have not rolled it out to everybody. I didn't want everyone panicking the day before people came into school without the instructions.
We had another question that came through that said, in the module section, what does the green check mean? That indicates to you if you have interacted with that particular item. If it's something, the Canvas system is saying to you that you have taken a look at that. I always tell students, you may have looked at it. You want to make sure if it's a quiz or an assignment that you go back and complete it if you can't complete it at that time.
I also see another question about I had an account from last year. If you had all of your children, students already paired in your account, then you are fine. You're good to go. You do not have to pair them again this year. So, and that will continue throughout your child's experience in Saratoga. Once you pair them once with your account as an observer, then they will remain in your account all the way up to high school graduation.
Another question came through, and John, I'm thinking this is a little bit more from the middle school lens. It says, beyond the 2 hours of student training, will there be additional training opportunities? So,
teachers,
go ahead.
Teachers across the building have been instructed to go beyond the 2 hours of student training. And teachers are actually being trained on the same thing so that there's common vocabulary and everyone's kind of on the same page. But they're going to be utilizing all of the tools that are being covered in student training in their courses, especially over the first month or two, so that students feel comfortable. And really the whole idea, as we've been stressing all along, is unifying all of our platforms and making sure that we're all doing it the same way. And that's just going to take it a step further so that by the end of the year, we're not going to have to cover new concepts within our tools. Everyone should already be on board with how to use all of our stuff.
Great. Thank you for all the shout outs for a great job. We are trying our best. We want to make sure our parents are supported as well as our teachers and our students. What says in the, go ahead, John, go ahead. You can take the next one.
Okay. How many different apps and websites are we supposed to use to keep track of our students' grades? Truthfully, one be told would be School Tool. That is your official grade that your students are receiving. That is where teachers are posting what will be posted in the report card. Canvas is just the area for feedback on assignments. Being that we are in kind of a hybrid remote setting, a lot of our assignments are going to be found in Canvas. Traditionally, we would have kind of a mix between in-person and online. So Canvas wouldn't always have all of the assignments. But for the most part, there's going to be feedback in Canvas, but all of your students' grades, all of them will be in School Tool.
We had a question that came through about in the grades section of Canvas, what can the status be? So I've seen that it's that you haven't submitted something or you have submitted. So it gives you and maybe it's past the due date because you have the due date. So it's a really nice section to look at. Let me see the assignment title. when was the due date, and did I in fact turn it in? So as those assignments are being turned in, you can see the change in the status there. So I think that's a section that as we get into the school year, I'll start to unfold a little bit more for your student as teachers are working on getting assignments into the Canvas.
And then as far as announcements go, the reason you're not seeing announcement buttons on your classes yet is because teachers haven't made announcements. If they have, you will see the button. But if you haven't, that's just because they haven't posted anything yet. And the same goes for modules. If you're within a course and you do not see one of the things that we've outlined, it's simply because they just haven't posted anything in there yet. They have courses from last year that they can pull information from, and a lot of their assignments they're in the process of creating or bringing in from last year. So you'll start to see those, probably next week and within the school.
A question came through that said, what if I'm not sure if I'm an active observer into Canvas and can't remember my username or password? So I've had some parents in this situation where they try a login that they think they had and it lets them in and they're like, okay, I got it. But if you're not exactly sure, you could always reach out to one of us and we can take a peek in the system. And if you come up, we'll see that you're there. So I first advise you try logging in, usually with an email address you would have used or a username. And if you're still quite not able to get in, you can reach out to myself or John and we can look into the system and then guide you from there.
As far as accessing Canvas on mobile applications, they do have a mobile application for all types of users. So there is a Canvas application for teachers. There's one for students and parents. So if you are a parent, which all of you are, you're going to go into the App Store on iPhone or the Play Store on Android. And if you search for Canvas Parent, you will see the app that you will need to download. And then you would type in your credentials in there and you'll see a lot of the information. You won't be able to see all of the information as we've shown on the web, but you'll see a lot of it. You'll be able to receive the announcements. You'll get a short view of their grades and stuff like that. Just not all the features will be present in the application.
Another question came through that says, are the assignments that are assigned across the classes able to be sorted by their due date so the students can keep track of what needs to be completed first? I would say a nice place to take a look at that would be in the Canvas calendar. But John, do you have a different location that might be helpful to sort? Because I know at the high school level, a lot of our teachers are utilizing the modules to say this is the section of work that you're going to be working on, or they're going to send out an announcement that says this is the work for the week. And then if you kind of want an overall view to everything, on the dashboard, when we took a look at the dashboard, it listed out my to-do list and it gives me in the order and the dates of that or the assignments. But I would say another section that could be useful is the Canvas calendar, and that gives you a list of things when they're due. So almost like a monthly calendar. If I have my month calendar, I have all of my assignments listed there. I can see it and change it to week in a week view, and it'll show me in that way. John, do you have a pointer in someone that might finally want to sort more based off due date?
Yeah. Within the calendar itself, you can actually change it so that you have an agenda as well. The reason we didn't cover calendar as much is because we're steering teachers away from using the calendar. For those that had Canvas last year with students, the calendar kind of got a little bit overwhelming as we got started with remote learning and then as we proceeded throughout it. And if you loaded up your calendar, you would see all of the information that's on the calendar and it got overwhelming. So we decided as a district to move forward with just dealing with the dashboard and that's it. But if you do want to see it kind of listed out of all of the assignments coming up, like in more of an agenda format, if you click on calendar, up here in the top right, you can change from week view, month view to agenda, and now it will sort itself by due date. So, and the teachers that are in our district have been instructed to make assignments all have a due date. So you'll see them all laid out here.
All right, awesome. We are definitely on the same page with that. So thank you for bringing up the display to help our families.
Yep.
All right.
Let's see. I gotta get caught up with where I was.
I know that's what I'm doing as well. So just reading through the chat. But we will have access to the chat, I believe. Lucas, are you still on the line? It's kind of our tech help for the evening. Nope, that's okay. I'll message. I believe we will have access to the chat as well, so we can always go back through and see if anything's come through.
Regard to Pinpoint, that's not under our domain. That's the questionnaire that gets sent out about if you've had COVID symptoms and stuff like that. I would direct you to your building administrator as to where that's located, and they'd be able to point you in the right direction. How will students transition the work between the classroom and home using Canvas? The teachers should be utilizing Canvas both inside and outside the classroom. So inside the classroom, their assignments will still be posted there. And then that way, when they're home, they'll still have access to it. So that's kind of like our bridge between being home and being in person. It's our one platform for both areas.
This next question says, if my child is having trouble logging into a class, who should they contact? Tech Guidance Office, main office. So I know that we have on our website a link to be able to put in a ticket that gets sent to our techs in our buildings to let them know there's some trouble with maybe a login, and that could be used to send in the information. I feel like, and John, stop me if I'm wrong, but I feel like that's a direct notification to our techs in the building to say, there's a student that's having a login issue. I will get in contact with that student and the family, because sometimes when we call the front office, sometimes it's sent to me and then I don't set the login, so then I have to send it to the techs here at the high school. So John, do you agree with that guidance, or maybe I'm saying the wrong thing and I don't want to do that?
We do have a link online to the website, but truth be told, I would always recommend going to the teacher as our first point of contact. And then if it comes to the teacher not being able to help, they'll be able to point you in the right direction.
Okay, so do you have the website open? I can walk you through where it is, because if we haven't,
sure.
If anybody hasn't, like I know like at the high school, we have students logging in, and there's going to be some students that have login issues, and we'll be able to help them out. So from the district website, you'll see under the district tab, there is a button for reopening information. Yep. So right there. And then there's a button that says IT help. And then from there, we have need IT support from home ? It's underneath the IT and device help. When I click on that, that will open up a ticketing system where you can type in what the problem is, and it gets sent to our techs, and they will say, okay, this is a high school level need. I'm going to get in contact with that person. So if you do call the front office or your guidance counselor or something like that, and they say, oh, I'll put you in contact. Sometimes they refer them to me. I might say, oh, I need you to fill out this ticket system, just so that our techs get access to it. Someone wrote, isn't Canvas the bridge between the classroom and home? You got it. Yes, we want to try to keep that consistency in that message. Okay. Will there be a separate WebEx link for tomorrow's parent session, or do we use today's? There should be a separate one. Lucas, who's on the line, he sent that out today for us. And so there's like if we had people sign up, for once, you guys got the training. Tomorrow's the same training. So it's going to be a new link sent out to those people that are registered. So it will be a different link. Okay, that is our 5 o'clock time. So we will have what is left in the chat saved. And if we can send out communication, we will. And then also, we want to thank all of you for your time this evening. We want to make sure this year is successful for each of your students and be here as support and be those cheerleaders as we embark in this new year. So on behalf of myself and IT and John, I'll turn it over to you for a thank you, but I appreciate all of your time this evening.
So in final thoughts, I will say that I think this is going to be the first of many throughout the year. I think it's going to be something that we're going to constantly offer to parents, because we know as time goes on, things getting forgotten, or we kind of lose track of the way that things are supposed to be set up in class. And we want you as parents and guardians to always be able to access your child's information and keep them up to speed and progressing through their school year. So I definitely foresee some in the future. I'm sure information will be set out. But in terms of everything we got tonight, we have the chat. More information will be coming out to answer a lot of your questions. And from me, I want to thank you for being part of this. It's nice seeing all the parents and the responses that we've been getting. So we kind of get an idea of where the help is needed, and ultimately lead to a better experience for your children. So with that being said, I want to thank you and have a great night.
All right, bye everybody.